who the hell knows with these things? It seems like there's no real rhyme or reason. But I mean, if there ever was a case for an appeal, he's got it. He 100% has it. He's also, unfortunately, probably been robbed of millions of dollars, because if he wins that fight, the rematch is even bigger. Now, to his point, there's a rematch clause that Gervonta...
Sure, but I actually understand why the New York State Athletic Commission did not want to overturn the results. Basically, they're saying that rounds 10, 11, and 12, they don't know how GervontaDavis and even Lamont Roach would have adjusted to their, their fighting strategies and all that if a knockdown had been scored. Obviously, that changes the trajectory of the fight when you have a point deduction.
Tank entered the ring against Lamont Roach expecting another easy win, but instead, he ended up with more questions than answers. After the fight, he faced a lot of criticism from fans who believe he should have lost. On top of that, with legal troubles piling up, there's a chance we might see him stepping away from the sport sooner than expected.
They upheld the draw, but they said the referee should have counted as a knockdown. So they said it was a knockdown, but they wasn't going to change the decision.
To be fair, this isn't entirely unexpected. Tank had already mentioned that 2025 would likely be his last year in boxing, though now, it might not be his decision. From the start of the fight, Tank was confident, boldly telling Roach that he wasn't going to win, as if he already knew how it would end. But when the fight went the full distance, it became clear that things didn't go as he had planned. That's what sparked all the criticism toward him and his team.
Look at this, how they go off of GervontaDavis taking a knee and then going midway, Steve Willis?
Yeah.
Doing the 4 count and then stops it.
That was crazy.
And then they allow it, and then they call it a draw, and then they say they try to overturn it, but they can't overturn it. It's already done. The gig is up. And then they keep it a draw, but they change the rules.
If I'm a boxer, if I get dropped, I'm gonna tell the ref to stop.
Yeah.
Tank did it.
Yeah.
Hey, stop. No.
Yeah, you got to finish that count.
Yeah.
When Floyd got hurt, he hurt his hand, and one of his hands he touched. He didn't even. I don't even think he touched the canvas, but they started right away, giving him the 8 count.
Yeah.
Giving him a 10 count at least. He beat it. But this is my problem with today's sport of boxing, is that everyone's changing their sanctioning rules, and they make them, and they create them. But
the judges ruled the fight a draw, and while Davis might have been okay with that outcome, Roach's team had other plans. Almost immediately, Roach's camp pushed for the result to be changed, claiming their fighter had done enough to win. However, after reviewing the case, the commission decided to keep the draw. That should have been the end of it, but Roach's team wasn't ready to drop it. Instead, they shifted their focus to a new argument, one that could have serious consequences for Davis. During the fight, Tank did something that caught the attention of fans, analysts, and now the commission. Midway through, after taking a knee, he called for a towel, essentially asking for a timeout. This raised eyebrows because that's not how boxing works. The rules are clear, and fighters are instructed beforehand that there's no provision for calling timeouts during a fight.
Comes out from a punch, quick rinse, back in. Don't throw anything into the ring. You need my attention for anything, go through the inspections. And, just another fight.
Yes, sir.
Just another fight. No need to get too deep about it. Just another fight. All right, been here before, know what it's all about. So I'll see you
in the ring. There are no timeouts or breaks for rest. When a fighter takes a knee, it's up to the referee to start a count and decide if the fighter can continue. This is another point fueling the legal issues surrounding Tank. Lamont Roach's lawyers argue that Tank did something in the ring that should never have happened and was never held accountable for it. To them, this highlights how unfair the sport can be, often protecting top fighters. They believe Tank's status as a fan favorite led to him avoiding a serious penalty, all to keep the fanbase happy. Roach's camp insists Tank should face the consequences of his actions, even if it means losing his boxing license.
There's no question that should have been an 8 count. The ref is a very professional ref. He's one of the best in the world, but he made a big mistake right there. He helped the star, and when you know who the star is and who you're protecting, you still have to be fair, man. You still have to be fair because Roach walked away with the draw, but he should have been champion right now. And even though they already promised him a rematch, they already told him, I'm pretty sure they already told him how much he's gonna make in the rematch. He's still not a champion right now, and he should. Sometimes fighters prefer being a world champion than getting that big purse, because being a world champion is something special to them. And even though Roach is already a world champion at 130, but moving up to being a two division champion, beating somebody like Tank is huge for him, for his career, for his family, for his trainer, for everybody. I think that should have been a knockdown.
One person who's been adding fuel to the fire is Ryan Garcia. Known for never shying away from boxing controversies, Garcia spoke out about the situation during an appearance on the Ring Champs with AK and Bart podcast. He didn't hold back, criticizing Davis for his performance against Roach and questioning the legitimacy of the result. Garcia pointed out that Tank did what he often does, giving away rounds, while Lamont always had a response to everything Tank tried. Garcia felt that every time Tank showed any signs of picking up the pace, Roach countered perfectly. For Garcia, the real issue wasn't just the scoring, it was Tank's style of fighting. He believes Tank lacked aggression and that Roach had figured him out, turning it into a fight that should have ended with a different result.
Victory. When I'm not sharp here, anything can happen.
Yo, Ryan, what do you think about the knockdown? The knockdown with Tank?
That was a knockdown, without a doubt. You can't spin it no other way. It's too clear. And I think the commission needs to do something about it because it can give me an incentive, anytime I'm not feeling good in a fight, take a knee.
Will they set a precedent?
And that's not a shot at Tank. I respect Tank and I like Tank a lot.
More importantly, Garcia called on the commission to take action over the knee incident. I thought Lamont won, Garcia said, adding, I think the commission needs to do something about that knee. If they don't, then everyone will think it's okay to take a knee whenever we want. They have to take action. I mean, they did something about me, so they've got to do something about others. Rules are rules, right? As the controversy continued to grow, Lamont Roach Jr. also spoke out, though his response was more measured. Appearing on the Come and Talk to Me podcast, Roach defended Davis's skills but made it clear that the fight had been a real challenge for both fighters. I definitely want people to know that he was on his game that night, Roach said. Just because he didn't live up to expectations doesn't mean he fought a bad fight. People calling him trash and overrated, he's a good fighter. While it may have sounded like a show of respect, there was an underlying message in Roach's words. He needed people to believe that he faced the best version of Tank Davis, not a fighter who was on the decline. If the narrative shifts to Tank losing a step, it could take away from what Roach had accomplished in the ring.
Man, he got lucky at the draw. He did a good fight though. I thought he won it, but man, he gotta just create more action. That's a sparring session as far as I'm concerned. Oh my God. But, God damn, that's not the Gervonta I know.
While Roach defended Davis's abilities, it was clear he wanted to keep the focus on his own performance. Meanwhile, outside opinions kept pouring in. Promoter Eddie Hearn spoke up, arguing that Davis shouldn't be disqualified over the knee incident. However, public perception was already starting to turn against him. If the commission let him off too easily, it would only add to accusations of favoritism. On the other hand, if they punished him too severely, it could be seen as an overreaction. Either way, Tank found himself in a tough spot with no easy way out.
We had a show that night. I haven't watched the full fight. One thing that's kind of baffling is that it wasn't a knockdown. I mean, look, he wasn't hurt. There's no doubt about that. But if you take a knee in the fight and you touch down, whilst punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying, that he should be disqualified. He went back to the corner. I don't buy that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's a warning, but it's a bit of a bizarre situation. For me, there was a lot of people in boxing that were saying that this is a really tough fight. Lamont Roach is a serious fighter. I said it might not be the biggest profile fight, but it's actually quite a tough fight. And Shakur said to me, even the day before, I'm telling you, he's going to have big trouble tomorrow night. And I just feel like hopefully this could be...
Just when things seemed like they couldn't get any more complicated, Jon Jones stepped into the conversation. The UFC legend, often regarded as one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time, made an unexpected offer to Davis. The two had met before, which already sparked some chatter in the combat sports world. But now, it seemed Jon Jones had something else in mind. Amid Tank's legal troubles, Jones shared a video on social media inviting Davis to try his hand at MMA. Jones even offered to personally train him. "When are we going to get you in the cage?" Jones asked. "I'll teach you myself, man. I'll teach you how to grapple, jiu-jitsu, all that, a little wrestling, it'll be easy for you, bro. Those hands right there? Ain't nobody trying to see them. Oh man, you've got so much time. I see super fights in your future, bro. Nobody wants any problems with you, my guy."
What's up, King? How are you, boss? Man, it's nice to meet you, man. You working hard, huh? How you get that power, bruh? Where that power come from? God given? I knew it. I knew it. God bless you, man. Sign to shake your hand. Yes, sir. Goats, man.
It was a bold move, but not necessarily an unexpected one. Jon Jones has long been a supporter of crossover fights, and with Davis now facing serious trouble in boxing, the idea of a fresh start in MMA might seem more appealing. While Tank didn't commit to anything right away, his response raised a lot of eyebrows. "Let's do it," he said. "I'm willing to do it." That simple statement sparked a wave of speculation. If Davis truly considered stepping into MMA, it would be one of the biggest crossovers in combat sports history. And with Dana White openly discussing bringing the UFC's business model into boxing, the timing couldn't be more intriguing.
On a deal to start a new boxing league with Turkey, who absolutely loves the sport of boxing.
I am very happy today. I give the flag of boxing to the best man who can handle it. He have a tough job now, but I am sure he will be delivering to the people and the fans the magnificent league and get boxing great again.
The model is proven to deliver the fights that the fans want to see. The best will fight the best, and the fighters will continue to move up the rankings and become world champions. We will continue to make announcements on where you can watch and all the rest of.
But perhaps the only reason they can't just move on from Tank is the number of fights still lined up for him. First, the rematch with Roach is now more than just a possibility, it's a necessity. Had the referee called Davis's knee a knockdown, Lamont Roach Jr. would have walked away with a career-defining victory, and the boxing world wouldn't be in such an uproar. But that didn't happen, and now the only way to settle things is by running it back. This rematch was already mandatory in the case of a draw or a loss for Tank.
Boxing fan, that the fact that I do watch him fight, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really like boxing.
Are you open to immediate rematch?
In my contract, immediate rematch was signed. I signed for the immediate rematch when I signed for the first fight.
Right.
Just in case he lost or just in case it was a draw.
So when you got a rematch.
According to reports, both camps are already on board, with a potential date set for June 21st in Las Vegas. The fact that the rematch is happening so soon speaks volumes about the demand for clarity. There's no belt on the line, no mandatory obligations, just a strong sense that the fight needs a definitive conclusion. What makes this rematch even more interesting is how the perception of Davis has changed since their first encounter. Before their initial fight, Roach Jr. was seen as an overachieving underdog. Now, many believe he should have already beaten Davis, and that shifts the entire dynamic. Fighters who are expected to lose but prove they can compete often come back in rematches with even more confidence, and that's exactly what Roach is counting on. This time, he won't be fighting for respect, he's already earned it. Now, he just needs to finish what he started.
Tank want a rematch. Do you, let me know now, do you want to fight Tank again? He said he open to do a rematch. Do you want to fight Tank
100%.
again?
It's only a matter of time. We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight again. It's just whenever the fight gonna happen.
So it's gonna happen?
It's going to happen.
Okay. They say they want it in New York again. Do you want to fight again in the Barclays Center?
I wouldn't mind, but I'd love for it to be in DC.
Meanwhile, Davis finds himself in an unfamiliar position. He's no longer the clear favorite. His performance against Roach Jr. raised legitimate concerns about whether his best days are behind him, and even among his supporters, doubts are starting to creep in. The idea that Davis could be slowing down isn't just coming from fans, it's gaining traction among fighters as well. Undefeated prospect Julian Gonzalez, who initially expected Davis to dominate, has now changed his stance. "I think I had Lamont Roach winning, I'm not gonna lie," Gonzalez admitted. "But I wasn't mad at the draw. I'm gonna rock with Lamont, though. It's hard. Lamont surprised me a lot, so I'm with Lamont." It's easy to see why Lamont Roach is now considered a real threat to Tank. Tank knows it too, and maybe that's why he's been hesitant to talk about the rematch.
I'm not sure, bro. Definitely not sure. But hopefully we could get it before... Nah, it probably won't be this year.
Is that the one you want next?
Yeah, it's definitely the one I want next, but it's not gonna be next. You might see it in a minute.
And Gonzalez isn't alone. Many in the boxing world who once saw Davis as an almost invincible force are now starting to notice cracks in his armor. The aura of invincibility that made him so feared is beginning to fade, and Roach Jr. has positioned himself as the fighter capable of shattering it completely. But the real question is, how will Davis respond? If he truly believed Roach Jr. was never on his level, this should be the perfect opportunity to prove it. If he's still the same knockout artist who built his reputation by dominating opponents, then the rematch should be his to win. However, if Roach Jr. is as good as he showed in their first fight, and if he really has figured out Tank's game, then this rematch might be the one that confirms what many are starting to believe, that Tank is no longer the same fighter he once was.
Honestly, I thought I should have won without that being counted a knockdown. Look, I ain't the ref. I ain't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he had to wipe sweat out his eye, he had to wipe sweat out his eye. But the rules do state, if you voluntarily take a knee, then that's automatic. But it is what it is. I wasn't relying on that. I was relying on what I was doing in there.
Lamont Roach Jr. hasn't let up, and neither have the fans. The controversy from his fight against Tank Davis continues to dominate the conversation, and Roach is making sure it stays in the spotlight. While the official result was a majority draw, Roach has spent the past few weeks making it clear that he believes he won, and he's not backing down from that stance. Since the fight, Roach has been everywhere, appearing on major podcasts, engaging with the media, and keeping the pressure on both Davis and the Boxing Commission. Every interview, every post, and every comment has been aimed at fueling the conversation. But this week, he took things a step further, going directly at Tank's fan base with a viral post that stirred up even more attention. Within hours, Roach's post had garnered over 215,000 views, and within just 2 days, it had more than 425 comments, most of them from Davis supporters who weren't thrilled with Roach's confidence. It's classic fight promotion, and Roach knows exactly what he's doing. By directly calling out Tank's fans, he's making sure the narrative doesn't die down anytime soon. The more people argue about the decision, the more pressure builds for the rematch. From the looks of it, Roach is playing the long game, keeping himself in the spotlight and ensuring that by the time the rematch happens, the energy surrounding it will be at an all-time high.
All the talk throughout the years, what you would do against somebody like Tank, your style versus his, was that not the blueprint? And can you not do 10x that?
I'm not even going to but look, I want some money tonight. That's all I'm happy for. I want money tonight.
Shakur, tell us something, bro. Like, what did you think about the decision?
I ain't gonna know.
Okay.
We still got to see each other. He say you want to fight me, so we gonna fight.
But what do you think about the decision?
I thought Lamont won.
Thought Lamont won. Got you. I talked to you.
Of course, Davis's fans weren't going to let that slide. They flooded the comments, some mocking Roach for crying over a draw, while others reminded him that, in their eyes, he didn't do enough to take the win. But Roach clearly anticipated that response. This isn't just about defending his case, it's about stirring the pot, keeping his name in the headlines, and making sure that when he faces Davis again, people are watching for more than just the fight itself. Roach has successfully shifted the conversation. It's no longer just about whether or not the knee should have been ruled a knockdown or whether Tank did enough to secure a win. Now, it's about whether Roach has the right to be this confident, whether he really exposed Tank, and whether the rematch will finally give the answers that fans on both sides are craving. But if Roach is being honest, he's already shaken up the sport. That's why his life is already starting to change.
Personally. Nas, you got anything else for Lamont?
Yo, last question. I just want to know, how has your life changed since the fight, man? You know, obviously we follow each other on social media. I see your followers went up, all of the other stuff kind of going up. How has things changed for you since the fight has happened?
Bruh, literally overnight, it changed. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I got walk around with security. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I walk around with my peoples. Like, it's crazy. I can't do the same stuff that I used to do. Like, I can't go to the grocery store. I can't go nowhere, bro. Like, I can't do nothing. And it's crazy. Like, it's just crazy because
Shakur Stevenson has been quietly lurking in the background as the controversy surrounding GervontaDavis and Lamont Roach Jr. continues to unfold. With all eyes on Tank's future, whether it's a rematch, a suspension, or something else entirely, Stevenson is slowly inching closer to becoming part of the conversation. If things keep heading in this direction, we might finally see him step into the ring with Davis, a fight that's been one of the most talked about potential matchups in boxing. Stevenson, known for his defensive brilliance and ability to control fights with precision, has long been seen as a serious threat to Davis's aggressive, knockout-heavy style. However, according to veteran trainer Abel Sanchez, Stevenson will need to adjust his approach if he wants to beat either Davis or Roach.
Who you looking to fight next after this fight? Like, Tank over, win, lose, draw, whatever. Who you want next?
Look, if y'all don't know, even after I beat Tank, I'm gonna go back down to 130 and handle some smoke that I got down there at 130. All the champions, I got to smoke with all the champions. I wanted to unify at least one belt at 130.
Yeah.
So whoever the champion is, whoever the champions are, hopefully I can just line them up and then take them out. It's a good fight. The champions are Lomachenko, Shakur, and another guy from Ukraine, Dennis Barrett. Something like that.
Okay. I feel like you and Shakur is a really. I think people in the comments that actually want that fight, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, that'd be a good fight.
Yeah, it'd be a great fight.
Yeah, they can fight. Shakur can boogie.
The same can be said for Roach, who proved against Davis that he's not afraid to stand in the fire and push the pace. Roach's performance against Tank showed that he's more than capable of pressing an elite opponent and forcing them to fight his kind of fight. If Stevenson wants to handle either of them, he may need to step out of his comfort zone. That's exactly what Sanchez is getting at when he says, Shakur has to be a little more forceful, I think, to deal with these guys. I don't think his approach can stay the way it is now and expect to handle a Lamont or a Gervonta.
If Tank won't fight the rematch, what happens with him and Shakur? How do you see that fight
Stevenson has a reputation as being the best defender in the division. He is a feared fighter because of that particular quality. If I'm Tank Davis and I'm coming off a disappointment in terms of my offensive output, I'm not going straight to the best defender in the division. I'm looking for some other fight, and I think the logical fight for him is a rematch with Lamont Roach. Let's see it again. Let's see if Roach can go ahead and capitalize on what he showed here tonight, which is he was a much better fighter at 135 pounds than most of us expected him to be.
Okay, who do you lean towards in Gervonta versus Shakur if that does happen? Who are you favoring?
Based on what I saw tonight.
But if Stevenson does make those adjustments, the fight becomes even more intriguing. Unlike Roach, Stevenson wouldn't need to take the fight to Davis in the same way. He has the reach, reflexes, and ring IQ to neutralize Davis's explosiveness. The key for Stevenson would be stepping up his activity, making sure he's not just edging rounds, but clearly winning them. If he can do that, the fight could turn in his favor, as his skill set offers a unique challenge to Davis's aggressive style.
What's going through your mind when you heard the decision?
Nobody like a draw, you know, from a guy that get knockouts and things like that, but it's cool. I feel like if we fight again, I could do more, and I should have did more. I was lost in I lost track in the rounds.
As things stand, Stevenson has his next fight lined up, but the conversation is shifting. The Roach-Davis rematch is a possibility, but if Tank gets suspended or if negotiations fall apart, Stevenson could be next in line. If that happens, he'll have a chance to prove whether his style can truly shut down Davis's explosiveness or if he'll need to take more risks to claim his biggest win yet. The shift in focus could create a huge opportunity for Stevenson to make his mark in the sport.